Okay, welcome to the Siyum HaRambam, which is the completion of the Rambam daily study cycle in Hawaii 5786, and also the Haschola, which is the beginning of the next cycle, of the next round. So, just going to a little introduction, and then what's going to happen is this year we have the completion of 3 cycles. So we're going to have representation of all 3 cycles. Let me just give a little background for people that are joining that may not be familiar with this, and a little introduction, and then we'll bring in some of our guests tonight. So for those of you that are new to this, and for those of you that are going to be watching the replay, the Rebbe launched this campaign over 40 years ago in 1984, I believe, 5744. And the idea is to unite world Jewry. The Rebbe's campaign was Achdus Yisrael al Yidei Torah, I believe, the unity of Jewish people through learning Torah. And so the goal is not just to become proficient in Torah. There's many things of Torah to learn, but the goal is to unite world Jewry. And in order to do that, the Rebbe chose Rambam. I'm going to play a short clip of the Rebbe doing a siyum in a little bit, but just to give you a little bit of the background, the Rebbe chose the Rambam, which is Maimonides, as the platform to unite world Jewry because of the uniqueness of the Rambam. The Rambam, Maimonides, he lived, over 800 years ago. He lived in Spain. He was called Moshe ben Maimon HaSfaradi. He was a Sephardic Jew, and then he ran away from Spain because of persecution. He lived in Morocco, he lived in Egypt, and then eventually he was buried in Tiberias in Tveria in Israel. So the Rambam wrote many books. He was a physician, he was a scholar, philosopher, a Jewish leader at the time. But the Rambam's magnum opus, his main work of his lifetime, the greatest work of his lifetime, was called the Mishnah Torah, which the Mishnah Torah essentially means second to the Torah. And he wrote it because there's so much information from the written Torah from Moses, from Moshe Rabbeinu, until his time, right? We have the written Torah, and then we have the oral tradition, which we'll talk about soon. We'll have one of our guests speak about the oral tradition. And so there's so much information, and it became spread across the Talmud, the Mishnah, the Talmud, and the dozens or hundreds of rabbinic writings from the period of the Talmud, which was over 1,500 years ago. So you can imagine, for a regular person to navigate the sea of Talmud, or to know, like, what is the bottom line? What do I do? How do I live as a Jew? It's very complex. It was very complex. Every mitzvah, the Torah can have one line for a mitzvah, and it can be pages and pages of Talmud discussing the details of the mitzvah. So the Rambam felt it was critical to compile a compendium, sort of like an encyclopedia, with clarity of all the mitzvot from the written Torah and the oral tradition, Torah shebichtav and Torah shebal peh, in a very clear, concise way. And as he writes, kakoten kagodel, that young and old, both in age and in knowledge, should be able to assimilate and have clarity of this learning. Now, when the Rebbe launched this campaign of Rambam study, the Rebbe wanted, again, koten kagodel, old and young, both in age as well as in knowledge, to be able to participate. So the Rebbe created this with 3 tracks: a very advanced track, a medium track, and a simpler track. The advanced track is 3 chapters a day. In Hebrew, it's called Shloisha Prakim. That track finishes the entire Mishnah Torah, which is a 14-volume set called Yad HaChazaka, the Rambam's magnum opus of Mishnah Torah. You finish that in under a year, about 11 months. The medium track is 1 chapter a day. There are 1,000 chapters in the Rambam's 14 volumes. And so you finish it, given every year has about 365 days, 354 days. In around 3 years, you finish the 1 chapter a day track. And then there's a simpler track, which is called Sefer HaMitzvot. And to just explain what that is, before the Rambam, before Maimonides embarked on this colossal mission to create the first comprehensive encyclopedia of the entire Torah, oral and written Torah, called the Mishnah Torah, which is 14 volumes. Before he launched into that, he wrote a prelude. He wrote a book called Sefer HaMitzvot. I have it here in Hebrew, Sefer HaMitzvot, and I have a children's version that they've produced, the Book of Mitzvot for kids. There are many versions. Why did he write the Sefer HaMitzvot? He wrote it, as we'll see soon, and we're going to invite Mela to read it. He wrote it because he needed to first compile a clarity of what are the 613 mitzvot. We know from the Talmud, as we'll hear from Mela in a minute, that there are 613 mitzvot, but it doesn't say in the Torah they're not numbered. So if a person reads the entire 5 books of Moses, you will be confused. What are the 613 mitzvot? They're not listed in alphabetical order, in number order, in chronological order. Sometimes mitzvot are listed 2-3 times. Sometimes it's a very subtle mention. And so the Rambam felt it was imperative, before he launched into the Mishnah Torah, which would be the full treatment of every single mitzvah in all of its details, to have a concise summary of what the mitzvot are. And there were people who attempted to do this before the Rambam, and they counted them differently. Meaning it's not even clear to some of the scholars. There's a debate. What are some of the mitzvot? The big scholars argue, as much of Talmudic argument, what are included in the mitzvot. I mean, I would say 95% of them will agree on the same things, but there's a few mitzvot where there's debate about whether it is included, not included. And so the Rambam wrote the Book of Mitzvot to identify the 613 mitzvot and bring proof. And as we'll see in today's Rambam in a minute, he also gives you the guidelines of how you determine what is actually a mitzvah. In other words, how did he come to this exact calculation of what the mitzvot are? He's going to give us 14 principles called the Ikrim, I think, or the Klolim. And over the next few days, the people who learn the Sefer HaMitzvot track are going to go through those principles. The first mitzvah, the actual first mitzvah in the first chapter of Mishnah Torah will be on Shabbat. This coming Shabbat will be the first actual mitzvah. So for the next few days, we'll be doing introductory stuff. So in order for their Jewish unity to be across all 3 tracks, the Rebbe wanted, as much as possible, people to be studying the same mitzvah on the same day. So what did he do? He decided that the 3 chapter a day high-level track, which is the in-depth sort of scholarly track of going through 3 chapters a day, which is rigorous, takes about 20, 30 minutes if you're good, take you 45 minutes to an hour. That track would run parallel to the Sefer HaMitzvot track. Now, if you have questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat and I'll get to them. While some of the other people are presenting, I'll go and answer some of the chats. So again, the Book of Mitzvot is 1 volume. It runs through the 613 mitzvot in a summary. It gives you a very sort of concise definition of what the mitzvah is and the verse. And I'm going to share in the chat a little bit later on. We have a WhatsApp group in Hawaii with over 70 people from different islands, where every day we post the mitzvah. It's a paragraph. It has the mitzvah and the source for the mitzvah, and sometimes a bit of commentary. And if there's more than 1 mitzvah, we'll have several mitzvot. But the point is that even though the Book of Mitzvot runs in 1 order, and the 3 chapters a day is a much more in-depth treatment, the Rebbe wanted that they should study the same mitzvot every day. So the mitzvah of the day in the Book of Mitzvot kind of jumps around a little bit in order to be on the same track and aligned with the 3 chapters a day. So just bear with me, I'll repeat that again. If you're learning the 3 chapters a day in depth track, and if you're learning the Sefer HaMitzvot, which is the simple track, you're going to be learning the same mitzvot practically almost every single day. One is a concise, just the summary in a paragraph or two of the mitzvah and the verse. One is a more in-depth track with 3 chapters going into great detail. The 1 chapter a day is in its own kind of track, and we overlap with that track. We're on the same page today when we start, when we end, and in the middle of the 3 years is 1 day where we're on the same page in the halfway middle point. So basically every cycle is 3 days we're on the same page, the first, the middle, and the end. Okay, I hope that didn't confuse you. What we're going to do now is, because this year is the conclusion of all 3 tracks, and all 3 tracks start again. So the first and the 1 chapter a day and the 3 chapters a day, it's the same content essentially. And the Sefer Mitzvot is a little bit different. We're gonna try and represent all of the tracks. Okay, so I'm gonna invite in a minute Meryl Abrams. Oh, see, you found the camera. Very nice. To join us from Princeville. And Mele's been on the WhatsApp group, and she's been studying along the mitzvah of the day on the chat. And I'm going to post a link in the chat soon where you can join the WhatsApp group if you choose to, and other links as well. Chabad.org, Chabad.org/daily study. There's links there where you can every day. I think you can even get it to your email. You can get notifications. You can get it. I'm just going to finish the Sefer HaMitzvot. It's kind of an odd ending. This was yesterday's Tu B'Shvat, was the ending of the last mitzvah in the Sefer HaMitzvot, which is different than the way it is in the Mishnah Torah. In the Mishnah Torah, we're soon going to have the conclusion of the Mishnah Torah by Rabbi Yeshaya Rottenberg of Hilo, Hawaii. And he's going to conclude the last halacha of the 14-volume Mishnah Torah, which is the magnum opus of the Rambam. He'll read it in Hebrew and English, explain to us a little bit what's going on. But as I mentioned, the book of mitzvot, this is the children's version that our kids use. The Sefer HaMitzvot runs a different order. And, we kind of jump around. So for whatever reason, the Rambam wrote the Sefer HaMitzvot in one order and the Mishnah Torah in a different order. He organized the Mishnah Torah by topic. There is a thematic flow, like he starts off with, Hashem as the foundation, and he builds it out, but it doesn't go in order of how it appears in the Torah, and it doesn't, it's a different setup. So the last mitzvah that we learned in the daily mitzvah was about a Yefas Toyar, which is a beautiful woman that is captured in captivity when the Jewish people go to war. And there's a special mitzvah, it's in Parashat Kiseitze in Deuteronomy, where if the Jewish people go to war and they capture captives, so there's different laws about it. I'm not going to get into all the laws, but the final mitzvah that Rambam mentions in Sefer HaMitzvot is that, again, this doesn't apply today. We don't have these laws because we don't have the temple, we don't have the Sanhedrin, the Jewish Supreme Court. But in biblical times, when they did go to war, if they did take captives, in this case, Yefas Torah, which was a beautiful woman that the soldier took captive, it's forbidden to turn her into a slave. There's certain ways he's allowed to treat her and certain laws about that, but he's not allowed to enslave her, and turn her into his personal maidservant. So that is forbidden. If she wants to convert to Judaism, she's allowed to and become his wife. But if not, he cannot keep her for forever, but he cannot enslave her, even though she's a captive of war. That's the final halacha of the Sefer HaMitzvot. And we're going to go to the beginning of Sefer HaMitzvot now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the beginning of Sefer HaMitzvot. Mele will read that. I'm going to share a link. Try and share a screen share that if I can do that. And you can follow along as she reads it off Chabad.org's website. Then we'll go to the conclusion of the Mishnah Torah by Rabbi Shai Rottenberg in Hilo. Then I'm going to have Reb Shlomi Kaduri in Kona with the introduction to the Rambam, which we start today, which is the introduction to the Maimonides Mishnah Torah. He has a beautiful introduction. He's going to read the Hebrew. And my son Mendel, who's starting to do one parak of Rambam a day, is going to do the English of the Hakdama. And then we'll have our special guest, Rabbi Yisrael Dovber Krasniansky, who just came to Hawaii last night with his wife and child, join us to start off the first halacha of the new cycle and give us a little insight to that. So that's going to happen over the next 20 minutes or so. Okay, so now we're going to go to, let me try and screen share. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think you can see Mele Abrams from Princeville, Hawaii. We're going to start the first mitzvah of the introduction to Sefer Mitzvahs. Today is just the introduction. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen where I have the Chabad.org. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. I was going to say, doesn't it say in Psalm 15 that if you want to dwell with God, you should study his laws? So anyway, I just thought, anyway, okay.
Yes.
Hold on. Oh, shoot. Okay.
You can read it off my screen or your screen, whatever you want.
Okay, I'm looking, I've got it set up so I can do this. Go ahead. In Maimonides' introduction to the Sefer HaMitzvot, the Book of Commandments, he states the goal he set to accomplish with authoring this work. The Talmud, end of Tractate Makot, tells us that there are 613 biblical precepts, 248 of which are positive commandments, i.e., mitzvot that require an action on our part, and 365 negative commandments, in other words, prohibitions. The 248 positive commandments correspond to the 248 limbs in the human body, each limb, as it were, demanding the observance of one commandment. The 365 negative commandments correspond to the 365 days of the solar year, each day enjoining us not to transgress a certain prohibition. While the Talmud gives us these precise numbers, it does not list the 248 positive commandments or the 365 negative ones. Thus, numerous mitzvah counters have arisen throughout the generations, many who preceded Maimonides, each one attempting to provide a comprehensive listing of the mitzvot, each one's list differing slightly from all the others. Maimonides prefaces his Sefer HaMitzvot with 14 guiding principles that allow us to determine which Torah precepts are included in the count and which are not. He then references these principles throughout the work and thus arrives at precisely 248 positive commandments and 365 negative ones. Maimonides explains in his introduction that the objective of the Sefer HaMitzvot is not to explain or elaborate upon the commandments. In an instance where he does speak about the details of a certain particular mitzvah, the intention is simply to identify which mitzvah he is referring to. The only goal of this work is to enumerate the biblical commandments and to provide explanation as to why certain precepts are counted while others are not. The following are the 14 principles, and they will be explained at length in the following chapters. Number 1, do not count rabbinic commandments in this list. Number 2, do not include laws which are derived from one of the 13 principles of Torah exegesis. Number 3, do not count mitzvot which are not binding on all generations. Number 4, we do not include encompassing directives in the count. Number 5, The reason for a mitzvah is not counted on its own. Number 6, a mitzvah that has both negative and positive components is counted as 2. Number 7, the different applications of a mitzvah are not individually counted. Number 8, do not count a negative statement amongst the prohibitions. Number 9, do not count the number of times a commandment is mentioned in the Torah, only the act which is prohibited or commanded. Number 10, do not count a preparatory act as an independent mitzvah. Number 11, if a mitzvah is comprised of a number of elements, do not count them each separately. Number 12, when commanded to do a certain action, do not count each part of the action separately. Number 13, we do not count the amount of days a mitzvah is performed. And finally, number 14, we do not count the punishment administered for each transgression.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Mele. Really appreciate that. That was fantastic. So when you were going through the 14 principles, that seemed a bit overwhelming to some people. What do all these things mean? And we're going to go through these in the next 3-4 days. From now until Shabbat, we're going to cover them. I'm going to put in the chat soon the link to study online with Chabad.org, which is what she was reading from, as well as to join our WhatsApp chat. And we're going to cover these 14 principles, 3 or 4 principles a day, and go into details and examples so you understand what exactly those things mean. So that is the launch of the Sefer Mitzvot. Very good, thank you. We're now going to move to the actual Mishnah Torah. And I'm going to ask Rabbi Yeshaya Rottenberg of Hilo, Hawaii, Big Island, to do the siyum, the conclusion of the Rambam's Mishnah Torah. Let me see if I can screen share that as well, so you can follow along. Second, let's go to one second. One chapter yesterday. One second. Okay, Rabbi Rottenberg, we're you're gonna do halacha hey, right? The last one. Okay, gonna unmute.
Okay, you ready?
Ready? Take it away. It's on your screen. If you want to follow along in the Hebrew or the English, it's on the screen. All yours, Rabbi.
In that era, referring to the era of Mashiach, Messianic time, which we will hope and pray for it.
You can do the Hebrew as well as the English.
In that era, there will be neither there will be neither famine or war. Envy or competition. For good will flow in abundance. And all delights will be freely available as dust. The occupation of the entire world will be solely to know God. Therefore, the Jews will be great sages. And know the hidden matters. Grasping the knowledge of their creator. According to the full extent of the human potential, Shanamar, as it states, the world will be filled with the knowledge of God as the waters cover the ocean bed. Yeah, with this we conclude the whole Rambam.
Shkaya, thank you very much. You want anything else you want to add, or you're good? No? Okay. I mean, I don't know if you have a word or something. Okay. I'm going to share something personal. that I have the merit, the schus of having a chavrusa with Rebbe Shaya. We started learning Rambam a few weeks ago, and I enjoy learning together with him. We try to do it on a daily basis. We don't make every day, but very many days. It's very good if you want to learn Rambam to have someone to commit to learn with together. Okay, let me try and share now a short clip of the Rebbe making the Siyum HaRambam. Again, it started in 1984, this campaign of doing Rambam every day. And the Rebbe would personally take his Rambam with him when he went places, when he went to the Ohel, when he went in the car, he would take his Rambam and learn Rambam. People would see him learning his Rambam in his sukkah, wherever he did. And he spoke about Rambam, and he often connected the Rambam with things that were happening in the world, with things that we were studying. And he was very passionate about this campaign of learning Rambam. So when we learn Rambam, we're learning Hashem's Torah, we're connecting to Hashem. We're also fulfilling a directive of the Rebbe as the leader of world Jewry, trying to connect Jews around the world. That's another very important benefit of learning Rambam. And at the same time, we're learning, what it means to be a Jew. We're learning about the Torah and what our responsibilities are as a Jew to bring Hashem's light to the world. I'm going to share a short clip. Can you see the video screen? Hope so. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Before was better.
When it's maximized, it's better. Can you see when it's maximized?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of the first year, it was Yud Aleph Nisan, the Rebbe's birthday. It was a few days before the Rambam's birthday, which is Erev Pesach. Many Siyum HaRambam.
Der Aloch achrein hebt so schon, und beise hazman, wo das kommt behemschig zu der Friedeke Aloche. Also das Mann, wo das Jemes HaMashiach, le Yiyeshom, le Rov, le Milchome, nicht kein Hunger und nicht kein Milchomes. Le Kina besachlus wird nicht sein kein Kino und Strachlus zwischen sich. Mit Messiaim gewähnt, bei jedem Judalef Nissen schon so, der Machzir Horischen in Rambam, was gelernt, Zendliker und Hunderter und Tausender Rieden, Schleischer Prokim bei jedem, das ist der größte Teil, was ist da und was wir darf gar weiter nicht suchen, als Jeden sollen sich zusammenkleiden und machen es Asium Ligmore Schalteira, und Asiya mit den ganzen Studien.
Okay, that was a short share, just to see the joy on the Rebbe's face when they were finishing the first cycle of Rambam. You can see how the Rebbe was beaming with light. The Rebbe was really enthusiastic about this and has tremendous nachas when we do this. So, moving right along, we are going to have Reb Shlomo Kaduri from Kona, who is recently moved to Kona to help the Galutskis and the Shlichus in the west side of the Big Island with chinuch, of teaching children Torah. And he and his wife deal in Jewish education. And it's an honor to have you here. And he's going to read the Hebrew, and I'm going to invite my son Mendel to do the English. Go on the camera, Mendel, to do the English. Okay, 1 second. Okay, here we go. And this is from the introduction to the Rambam, the Hakdamas Rambam. And I'm just going to give a little introduction to the introduction real quick. And that is that the introduction to the Rambam is very, very important reading. Even if you're not doing the 1 chapter a day or the 3 chapters a day, even if you're doing the Sefer Mitzvah cycle, I really encourage you to study it, to read it. And I'll include the link there, because the Rambam, he writes the imperative of the oral tradition, how critical the oral tradition is to understanding the Torah, and how the oral tradition, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, comes from Moses. And he goes through the 40 generations, teacher to student, in an uninterrupted chain from Moshe Rabbeinu until the Talmud, which proves that the teachings of the Talmud and the Mishnah come directly from Moses, who got it from Hashem. And the point of this is because even today we have many different Jewish groups who claim, oh, the Talmud, the rabbis made up a bunch of stuff, and all these laws that the rabbis made. But if you look at this introduction to Rambam, you will see that the Rambam talks clearly about how the oral tradition is from Hashem and is of the same divine nature as the written Torah. And so, therefore, it's critical to understand that, to have a comprehensive understanding of Torah. Okay, we're not going to go through the whole entire thing because it's kind of lengthy, but we'll start it off. Let me spotlight Rabbi Kaduri. Let me try and screen share that. See if you can find the page. 1 second. What happened there? One second, guys. Sorry about that. Whoopsie. Oh, here we go. Org. One second. Resume share. Can you guys see? I don't know why you can't see. Sure. I'll try one more time. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so בשם השם כל העולם, אז עד אבוש בהביטי על כל מצוותיך. I read one and after I read in English, or I read all of us?
You could do paragraph by paragraph, one paragraph at a time.
Paragraph. Okay. So כל המצוות שניתנו לו למשה בסיני בפירושן ניתנו, שנאמר ותנה לך את לוחות האבן והתורה והמצווה. תורה זו תורה שבכתב, המצווה זו פירושה. וציוונו לעשות התורה על פי המצווה. מצווה זו היא הנקראת תורה שבעל פה.
Okay, Mendel, we're going to come back to you. Okay, wait, Rabbi Kaduri, we're going to come back to you. Go ahead, Mendel.
In the name of God, Lord of the world, then I will not be ashamed when I gaze at all of your mitzvot. From Psalms 119, 6th verse. The mitzvot given to Moses at Mount Sinai were all given together with their explanations, as implied by the saying in Exodus chapter 24, verse 12. And I will give you the tablets of stone, the Torah, and the mitzvot. The Torah refers to the written law. The mitzvah refers to its explanation. God commanded us to fulfill the Torah according to the instructions of the mitzvah. The mitzvah is called the oral law.
כל התורה כתבה משה רבנו קודם שימות בכתב ידו. ונתן ספר לכל שבט ושבט, וספר אחד נתנהו בארון לעד. שנאמר, לקוח את ספר התורה הזה ושמתם אותו וגומר. והיה שם בך לעד.
Moses, our teacher, personally transcribed the entire Torah before he died. He gave a Torah scroll to each tribe and placed another scroll in the ark as testimonial, as it says in Deuteronomy. Take this Torah scroll and place it beside the ark, and I will be there as a testimonial.
והמצווה שהיא פירוש התורה לא כתבה, אלא ציווה בם לזקנים וליהושע ולשאר כל ישראל. שנאמר את כל הדבר אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם, אותו תשמעו לעשות וגומר, ומפני זה נקרא תורה שבעל פה.
The mitzvah, for example, the explanation of the Torah, he did not transcribe. Instead, he commanded it verbally to the elders, to Joshua, and to the whole camp of Israel, as it says in Deuteronomy. Be careful to observe everything that I prescribe for you. For this reason, it is called the oral law.
אף על פי שלא נכתבה תורה שבעל פה, לימדה משה רבינו כולה בבית דינו ל70 זקנים. ואלעזר ופנחס ויהושע, שלושתם קיבלו ממשה. וליהושע שהוא תלמידו של משה רבינו, מסר תורה שבעל פה וציווהו עליה. וכן יהושע כל ימי חייו לימד על פה. זקנים רבים קיבלו מיהושע. וקיבל אלי מן הזקנים ופנחס, ושמואל קיבל מאלי ובית דינו. ודוד קיבל משמואל ובית דינו, ואחיה השילוני מיוצא מצרים היה, ולוי היה ושמע ממשה, והיה קטן בימי משה, והוא קיבל מדוד ובית דינו.
Even though the oral law was not transcribed, Moses, our teacher, taught it in its entirety in his court to the 70 elders. Eleazar, Pinchas, and Joshua received the tradition from Moses. In particular, Moses transmitted the oral law to Joshua, who was his primary disciple, and instructed him regarding it. Similarly, throughout his life, Joshua taught the oral Torah. Many elders received the tradition from him. Eli received the tradition from the elders and from Pinchas. Samuel received the tradition from Eli and his court. David received the tradition from Samuel and his court. Achia of Shiloh was one of those who experienced the exodus from Egypt. He was a Levite and heard teachings from Moses. He was, however, of low stature in Moses' age. Afterwards, he received the tradition from David and his court.
Okay, so let's thank you very much. We could go and go and go. It's a long introduction. In fact, in the one chapter a day, they do it over 2 days. It's so long. Okay, so thank you very much, Rabbi Shlomo Kaduri. Thank you very much, Mendel Goldman. Atzlacha Rabbi in your learning the Sefer HaMitzvah, the Perek Echad Rambam, and representing the Perek Echad, the one chapter cycle in Hawaii. We have in Hawaii all 3 tracks being learned. We are now going to go to the beginning of the new cycle in the Rambam, Mishnah Torah. And our guest of honor is Rabbi Yisrael Ber Krasniansky, who, as I mentioned before, for those of you who weren't on the Zoom, just arrived last night with his wife and baby in tow to Honolulu, Hawaii, to join the Shluchim, the Rebbe Shluchas here in the state of Hawaii, and take it to the next level. We're really, really excited for your coming to the state of Hawaii with your wife and child to join. And we look forward to incredible things happening in the coming weeks, months, years ahead. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to give Rabbi Yisrael the mic, and then he's going to read the first halacha or 2 of the Rambam, the beginning of Sefer Hamadah, even though it's actually this Shabbos, which is the actual start, because we do the introduction, and then we do the mitzvahs, listing of the positive mitzvahs, and we list the negative mitzvahs, and then the Rambam enumerates his entire structure. So it takes us a few days to do the introductory stuff, but the first actual mitzvah will be the Shabbos. But it's customary when we do the Siyam and Haskalah to do the last halacha, which Rabbi Rottenberg did, and then go right away to the first mitzvah. And the Rebbe often would do a hadron, which was he would connect the first and the last and bring the whole thing together. So, Rabbi Yisrael, I'm gonna spotlight you, and you'll let me know when you want me to share the screen for the mitzvah. You want to read first, or you want to give a?
Yeah. No, I'll read first. Read first.
Okay, let me go to the screen share, and I'm gonna just go to Shabbos.
You're on one chapter a day. It's gonna be further.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. You are right. Let me go up to where would I find it? Yeah, 3 chapters a day. There we go. Okay, you're not going to do this whole thing, right? You're going to do this.
No, just the halacha.
Okay, there we are. First halacha.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi Michal, for arranging this siyum. My first inter-island siyum. That shall be the first of many. Okay, should we get right into it?
Right into it. It's all yours.
Yesed ha-yesedes v'amud ha-chachmes leida sheyesh ha-motzi rishen v'umamtzi kol nimtza. V'chol ha-nimtzaim mishamayim v'aretz u'ma shebeinayim le'nimtzu elo me'amitas himatzei. First halacha is the foundation of all foundations and the pillar of wisdoms. Pillar of wisdom is to know that there's a primary being who brought all existence into being. All the entities in the heavens, the earth, and what is between them came into existence only from the truth of his being. So, first halacha, short and sweet. As I'm sure everyone could see, there's a lot of depth in these couple lines. But just one short note on the first halacha. Maybe the oldest thought on this halacha, and really the oldest recorded thought, maybe on the Rambam. In general, we have a tradition from the Rambam's grandson, Reb David. His son, the Rambam's grandson's name was David, and he pointed out that his grandfather did something unique in his work, the Mishnah Torah, which was then copied by pretty much everyone, which is it was just covered over, but if it could be opened.
Oh, sorry.
Just for a second, is that if you see the first four words, Yesed ha-Yesedes v'amud ha-chachmes, the foundation of all foundations, the pillar of wisdom. So if you look at the first letters, it's actually an acronym for God's name. Havaya, Yud Ke Vav Ke. Yesed is Yud, Yud, Hey, and then Vav and a K, which that spells out, hints to Hashem's ineffable name. And like Rabbi Michal just mentioned, the Rebbe would always connect the first halacha with the last halacha. So also over here, Rabbi Ratzenberg just read that in the last words of the Rambam says that in the times of Mashiach, the knowledge, the knowledge of God will fill the world. So you see something interesting, which is that in the first halacha of Rambam, God's name is just hinted to, right? The four-letter name, you need to know to look at the first four letters of the first four words. First words of the first, But when you get to the end of Rambam, after 1,000 chapters, if it's 1 year or 3 years of learning, then already the knowledge of God is straight out there in the open. And that's the journey of Rambam, to know all the halachas, and through that, in Mashiach's time, to know Hashem himself. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, so we have done the siyum on Sefer HaMitzvahs and the Haskalah, the start of Sefer HaMitzvahs. We've done the siyum, Haskalah of Mishnah Torah. I want to wish everybody tremendous hatzlacha and the success in going forward. I'm going to put into the chat. We can open up if anybody has any questions or comments. If anybody over here wants to share something, I see Abba Levi Golutsky is here with us from Kona. If you want to share something, you're welcome to. I'm going to put in the chat the links to join. Okay, so first of all, copy and paste. Okay, I just put in the chat the link to our WhatsApp, our daily WhatsApp, where we share the mitzvah of the day on Sefer HaMitzvot. It's a silent group. There's not a lot of chatter. It's like, only admin's chair kind of thing, where people can just get a post of the daily mitzvah. Once in a while, I'll bring in some links or some commentary, but it's pretty quiet. And you just check it every day. You've done the daily mitzvah study. That's one share. And then I'm going to copy also the link to Chabad.org's Sefer HaMitzvot, right there, daily study in Sefer HaMitzvot. And every day. You can get also notification, you can subscribe through email. It's another platform. And then again, I'm going to add one more resource, which is chayenu.org. Let me just type it up. Yeah, you have to do the HTTP. Okay, chayenu.org. That's another resource. Those of you that know, Chayenu is either a booklet you can get mailed to your house, which has an example, the Chayenu each week, which has the daily mitzvah, Sefer Mitzvot, and it also, you can get it on an app. If you go to chayenu.org, you can get the app, and you get it on your phone. And they also have all 3 tracks. So I encourage you to join, whether it's on WhatsApp, whether it's on the Chayenu app, or in print, or the Chabad.org. This is a fantastic way to join World Jewry and uniting with World Jewry. And in our case, it brings unity to the Hawaii state, that we have Jews on all islands, well, at least the 4 main islands, Oahu, Maui, Big Island, Kauai, and hopefully we'll get also Molokai and Lanai to join in this daily study of learning Rambam. And I want to thank you all for joining. Again, you can open up your chat if you want to chat. I'm going to stop the recording, and thanks for coming on, everybody.